brothers and sisters, we continue to do what we do to inform the community, and to do that, we have to have people who are in the know. And we are very pleased today and honored to have someone with a legacy of community service and spiritual counsel and advising not only him but his father. We're very pleased to have Reverend Dr. Byron T. Brazier on the line today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. And I appreciate you allowing me to be on your program.
Absolutely. It is indeed our pleasure. And, you know, we recognize and we appreciate the people in our community who help not only to make it what it is, but help to make sure that the community can be involved and know what's going on. So we heard about the upcoming meeting that's going to be at Apostolic Church of God, of course, where you are the leader there, to talk about some key community happenings for the Woodlawn area. Can you tell us a little bit about the event and why it's important for people to come?
Absolutely. This actually is one of our fourth community meetings that includes the whole community. And we call it, and we've entitled this One Woodlawn, numeral one Woodlawn, bringing all the different aspects of Woodlawn together. And because of the Obama Library, the need for planning and for policy recommendations in order to protect our indigenous population becomes very important. So what we've done is we have engaged Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill in their urban planning group to begin to help us to map out a process for a master plan that the community will be fully engaged in on an ongoing basis. And they will be presenting their initial findings at this meeting, and to lay out a process for what the next set of meetings would also then look like. They have been engaged through the Bishop Arthur and Brazier Foundation in order to pay for their work. The second element that the community is very interested in because of the library is the change in the interest of people moving into Woodlawn. And the two areas that they're most concerned about is displacement and gentrification. And if you consider gentrification to be where you have a variation and a change in economics as well as racial makeup, people who want to live in Woodlawn, that will happen. The real issue becomes, what do you do to prevent displacement? And we believe that the 24,000 residents who are currently in Woodlawn, we need to make sure we have the policies that are effective to protect them. So we're having a group called Policy Link come in, and they are an African American consulting company that is very familiar with this element across the country. We're inviting them into Chicago, and they're being sponsored through Citibank from a financial standpoint to begin a process with us to take a look at what policies, tax policies, rent policies, and other things that a community can look at in order to address the idea of displacement. So that's what our meeting is going to be about on August the 20th.
Absolutely phenomenal. And it's critical and important, obviously, for community members to be there to lend their voice to this incredible, really proactive endeavor. There's been, cases or situations in the past where people haven't given their voice and then are frustrated with the outcome. Can you, talk a little bit about what's the result of people not lending their voice and their input to this meeting? into the overall master plan?
I will tell you that we are working very hard to make sure that we are proactive in reaching different aspects of the community, not just coming to a meeting or coming to 3 or 4 meetings throughout the year. We have convened all of our institutional stakeholders who care about their institutions and the institutional viability. So all of them are in a group, an affinity group that we talk to through the network of Woodlawn. We talk through them. We talk to them, and then we have another group that deals with all of our parks, including the Friends of the Park, the Jackson Park Advisory Council, and others that deal with parks. And our residents, and many of the residents are there from both Woodlawn and South Shore. And they care about what's going to go happen to the parks, trees and things of that nature, and what happens with nature. And that's the second affinity group. The third affinity group are the different boards of the network of Woodlawn. That includes our board for public safety, education, health and human services, and economic development. And then we have this one Woodlawn group, which is the fourth group. But we also have 2 other groups that we are bringing online, and one are the parents around every school in Woodlawn. And the second group is there are about 100 residents that are a part of our Safe Passage initiative with the Chicago Public Schools. They're going to be another affinity group. So we're going to have 6 affinity groups where we update them in between the meetings and seek their understanding in between the big community meetings so that we have an ongoing educational process that fully engages as many aspects of the community on an ongoing basis, and then we culminate it with a large community meeting.
Absolutely powerful. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to Basic Radio. We're talking with Dr. Brazier about Woodlawn. We encourage you to be a part of the planning, to talk about schools, parks, safety, overall improvement of the community, housing, culture. Reverend Brazier, as we close, can you speak a little bit about the importance of entrepreneurs and business owners who may both live and work in Woodlawn to be a part of this conversation and the role that businesses can play in this overall master plan?
Yeah, that's also going to be a part of the master plan, and how we begin to take a look at the major thoroughfares, primarily the thoroughfare between Cottage and King Drive on 63rd Street, and what that looks like, but also the cross street at Cottage Grove. But then we also then have 57th Street, we have 61st Street, and also 57th Street, and how all those begin to gel and come together. How we look at Stony Island, how we look at 67th Street. All those things will be taken into account as we take a look at the plan. But it's primarily, how do we take a look at the growth of Woodlawn, given that Woodlawn has about 600 vacant buildings and 130 acres of vacant land, and that's going to be the critical turning point or the critical asset that we'll be planning for.
Beautiful. Thank you. First Woodlawn Community Meeting. Add your voice to the Woodlawn Community Master Plan. It's April 20th at 6 p.m. You can go on Eventbrite to register, and we encourage you, brothers and sisters, to be at this important event. All those that are part of Woodlawn should be there to lend their voice to this important endeavor. Pastor Brazier, we thank you so much for coming on Being Through Radio, and we appreciate the work that you continue to do in the community.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening.